today with Narendra, who is a spiritual master teacher and the founder of Spirituality for Results. Thank you for watching Tonight with Narendra. And I'm wondering, I've read about the 60s, and I wasn't quite there, but it was a wonderful time, this great shift of radical change and all the things we believe in, peace and love and people coming together and good music, and it's like, and then it seemed like we all went back to this materialistic world in the Western culture, and then now people aren't that happy, and nobody can retire, and we don't have any, it feels like we don't have any hope, and some people think the world's going to end, and economic catastrophe is being we're at the brim of it all the time, or the edge of it rather, and it's like, I feel like we need hope. We need like the people that gave us hope. Like I always think of musicians, like Woody Guthrie back in the day, and then there was John Lennon and Bob Dylan and other visionaries, and then there were great people like Martin Luther King, and the list goes on. But I feel like we're void of like leadership or the hope or that radical movement, the voice that we're all looking for to bring us together. What do you think about that? Is there hope for us, or are we going to just blow up into some giant nuclear war? What do you think?
It seems like if you listen to the local news, like everything is falling apart, isn't it?
Yeah.
But it's amazing to think about all these wonderful people. Imagine we were living in a post-World War II era, and everything was booming, and yet there was so much hope for everything. And because of recession, because of crime, or because of all the negative things like terrorism and other things, it seems like people are more scared. They are insecure. Nobody trusts anybody. Nobody wants to take chance anymore. But think about, there is a hope for us. There's a hope for us. And each generation, each country brings their own type of unusual people, a new breed of people who give people hope. And after people have suffered enough, it's just a natural law that people will come out. And right now what we're going through is basically the pendulum started swinging up from the bottommost position of darkness in the universe. So we are already on path to upswing. But at the same time, we have to kind of think about it. With the new information age, all kinds of information is more easily available. But somewhere we have to bring it together. And unfortunately, there is no government authority or UN or world court that is going to bring us together. It will have to be either some musicians, some writers, some motivational speakers, people like you and me who have to stand up and speak something. So here's my take on this one. If you really think about it, now that we have had a chance with technology, because in the last 50 years, the technology has gone up, imagine from where to where. There was a time when the first computer came, it was like 64 kilobytes, and it filled up the whole room.
The ENIAC.
Now you got more power in a cell phone.
Yes.
And this is power like at least hundreds of thousands times more, or maybe even more, in your camera. And so all these things happening, technology is changing. We have had our own bouts with pollution, for example. And same way, if you think about it, and now that we have had all these things happen all over the world, there are 4 major areas that all of us need to think about. The future, the vision for future will have to include 4 things. Technology, some sense of spirituality, some responsible ecology, and some simpler way of living life, simpler, wholesome way of living life.
Can you define that simpler?
So let me go through each one of them. Let's just say talk about technology. For a while, people went wild after technology, and we have had our own share of nuclear accidents, pollution of water, whether we are doing drilling of oils, or whether you're playing with chemicals or some illegal dumping in the rivers, water pollution, air pollution, and not one country is safe from that.
Nuclear.
You know, there are countries, I remember I used to go that if you stand at the main city in the center, it was dark smoke in the office time. And 15 minutes, you have black soot all over your face. So, even today, some countries like China, for example, some rivers are so polluted, you can't even tell what clear water looks like anymore. It has the color of a dark chocolate color that comes out because of all the factories are dumping their pollution into the river. And the same one now is going into the rice paddies.
So the pattern's repeating as a culture matures. They're kind of following the same mistakes the United States made.
Yes. So the vision will have to include that we cannot afford to say technology at any cost. It'll have to be carefully chosen technologies. Responsibly chosen technologies. Because if you cannot deal with the after effects or pollutions of it, then there's no reason for you to choose that technology. Because whether you are living in Vietnam or living in Mexico or USA, once you put the pollution out in there, guess what? It belongs to the whole world now. Because the world is rotating. So that part is, we'll have to have responsible technology. Also from a different perspective, from the mental integration with the human beings. The idea here is not to replace human beings, but also to realize that technology was created to serve the mankind, not the other way around. Right. Wherever technology ends up dehumanizing people, it's being used improperly. So that's another way we'll have to find those technologies and use them appropriately so that it serves humanity and makes our life better. And the second part would be the pollution. Now pollution can come from several different sources. And it doesn't necessarily have to be from technology. It could be even from using the natural resources, being strewn around aimlessly or irresponsibly. So we all have to learn how to deal with the whole pollution, even, for example, deforestation or logging industry, because people have to realize that forests do serve a very healthy purpose of cleaning out the pollution. In certain countries, they have aimlessly gone out and cut the trees because the housing growth is so uncontrolled and wild that they've had no check on these things. So, treatment of water, treatment of air, and how do we use the natural resources? Even simple things like digging out coal mines or any kind of strip mining that we have done, or even oil drilling for that matter, we have to choose it very carefully to keep a full check on what the pollution is doing.
Right.
Like if you look at the auto industry has had a lot of challenges on it. Continuously they have improved their share of what you call miles per gallon. So which means now they have to use less gas. Also they have put parts inside the automotive's vehicles where the pollution is reduced more and more and more. So the second part will have to be a responsible ecology to keep a check on pollution, because that pollution can come from any source.
Yeah, and I see it, the root cause is a greed problem.
Even if you look at, say, food, in this country, if you open up a package, if you look at a package of frozen foods or cans, look at all the things you have in the back, all the ingredients. 99% of the people don't know what those things are, and you have no idea what they do to you.
Oh, right.
So, FDA doing its best job in trying to keep a check on it, and for them it's a question of, well, they're going to make an economic decision based on whichever causes the least amount of damage to a human body, but ultimately we'll have to put a check on those things. Red dyes, yellow dyes, the nitrates in meats, and these are all, again, another source of pollution. And you don't know what GMOs are going to do when it comes to,
right.
and what I mean by GMO is genetically modified seeds for the crops.
That's a huge topic.
It's a very big topic.
Yes.
But that's a form of pollution if you really think about, or misapplication of a technology. And I'm not saying it's all wrong, but we'll have to evaluate them over a long period of time before we can decide as a society this is the right thing for us. What kind of society it is that because of the bad choices in food packaging that half the population is always sick or dead. So it's not a very good choice then.
Yeah, and I view all of that as a problem of greed, but then I have a feeling you'll get to talk about that later. But
yes, very good point. Because the idea is, again, how can I produce more, and or the challenge may be how do I increase the shelf life of certain products. If you put certain chemicals, how do you make them look better, more colorful? But you don't know what it's doing to a human body. So we have to become more responsible. So technology, pollution, and third one is spirituality. Now spirituality means, why I bring it up is that I'm not saying that one religion or the other should be forced on people. But instead of saying that we're not going to have any school prayers, for example, or we're not going to have any religion, or we don't believe in it, it's better that you encourage people to follow their own spirituality. It should not be a taboo. But a society should celebrate if its people are following their own path. I think the fear in some societies is that one mainstream religion is going to be jammed down everybody else's throat. And that's where people become defensive. Or because there is no agreement amongst all people, so they say we have none of those. And I don't think that's a very good choice. Because as we grow, spirituality is not an external thing, it's part of our own dimension. So if you're not going to make it grow, we are saying to our children, you can grow physically and mentally, but you cannot grow spiritually. Which is like, realize how much damage you're causing to your own children.
it's kind of a soulless existence.
Exactly. And it's only through advancement towards making our spiritual dimension healthy that our consciousness will become better. And when our consciousness becomes better, we are more sensitive, we are more aware. Not only about what's happening to me, but what's happening to people around me. Then the true love and true caring will blossom. Otherwise, we can live in our own little bubbles. And all we become is isolated islands from the society. And that's not how we are designed. Even if you look at our own bodies, you're talking about 60 trillion cells. Your body is not a one physical object. There are 60 trillion inhabitants in this city. You are a city of cells. And they're all talking to each other. Can you imagine how ants are going from one direction into, they're always giving high five to each other. Hey, how are you? How's everything? It's the same way our cells are super intelligent. They always know what's going on. They're always continuously talking to each other. And it is only through advancement or bringing down spirituality at a practical level. Idea is to not throw Bibles or any scriptures in other people's faces. It's something for us to live, just like brushing your teeth. If you brush your teeth and take a shower every day, maybe you'll have more friends. It's something like that. And maybe you'll be a healthier person. Maybe then you'll be able to dance too. That's what spirituality is talking. So, re-enumerating physical. No, we got to make all the dimensions, physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual dimensions healthy. That is the goal of spirituality. It doesn't matter which religion it comes from. Spirituality starts where religion ends. Because religion teaches you the tools and techniques and the scriptures. But when you start practicing them, then your spirit dimension wakes up. And then say, aha, now I know what Jesus meant. Now I know what Buddha meant. Because all of a sudden you have the feelings of love and expansion. And your definition of love doesn't just include you, it includes the whole neighborhood now. Even though you don't know some of the people, but you treat them the same way as you treat your own relatives. And that's what the spirituality will do. So you have to include, the vision has to include a carefully chosen technologies, a responsible ecology, spirituality. And the fourth dimension is simplicity.
Simplicity.
Simplicity, a simple way of living life. Because if you look around ourselves, we have become too complicated, and we have become too greedy, and we have become too flashy, and we have become too gaudy. Because that's how we prove to our neighbors or Jones that I'm better than you. Even though you don't need that car, you're going to buy it. And at night, break out with cold sweats. What if you lose your job? So look what it's doing. The cost of living extravagantly is costing you a lot more money than anybody else. It's causing you a lot more damage. If you look at the great thinkers of this world, they lived a very simple life. Look at life of Einstein. Look at any of these great writers and poets. They lived a very simple life. Look at Martin Luther King's life. He lived a simple life. They were not flashy and gaudy about things. In my opinion, one person who has done a significant amount of work in this field is Mahatma Gandhi. Mahatma Gandhi, when he died, he only had like 85 rupees or dollars in his bank, which is hardly anything for a man in stature. For a man who's only weighed about 85 pounds, he changed the whole world by his thought process because he lived a very simple life. The answer to us in terms of resources, if you're going to continue to live the way we are living, as they show on TV, wastefully sometimes, we need 23 more Earths. But if we learn to live simply, this world has got more than enough resources. I don't think any sane person buys into the concept there is shortage of things. There's plenty for everybody. So any future vision has to include these four things: carefully chosen technology, responsible ecology, spirituality, and sense of simplicity. If you don't need a 15-mansion house, and if you're a 75, 80 years old lady, it's a waste of society's resources. And it's not a very responsible thing to do. It's better that you live your life simple way. Because if you, first of all, if you live within your means and live a simpler life, then you are happy, you're not worried about anything, you have enough money saved for the rainy day, your attitude will be a lot better, you'll be able to sleep at night. And whereas if you look at the other model where people want to live extravagantly in a flashy way, and if you don't have the resources, then your mind will be always preoccupied. How do I get that money so I can live in a flashy way? Mm-hmm. And if you have had no proper education, you're going to either steal, or you're going to take bribes, or you're going to do some immoral things to go and get that money. So you can live in a flashy way. And at the end you're going to realize it was wasted anyway. Mm-hmm. So that's how I look at it.
So I keep thinking that if we put our spirituality first, that would be kind of like a foundation that would make the natural progression of those other things happen, that you make better choices for the planet, the environment, other people, and that if you're putting your spiritual life first, that the greed would just go away on its own, or the addiction to greed, or on a collective level and on a personal level.
What you say is very, very good point, because the whole spirituality relies on a concept of contentment. Uh-huh. Because if you really look at it, the main difference between Old Testament and the New Testament is the Old Testament say, go out, make money, make all you want, and people are still not happy. Uh-huh. And when Jesus came and gave his message, his was basically said, live simple. Idea is what? When you are content, you become more peaceful. Mm-hmm. And thus, grace shall be given to you a lot easily, and it will stick. And when it changes you, what happens to your consciousness gets shifted. When your consciousness shifts, then you are content with what you have today. And you really don't seek lot more than what you really need. Because at that point you realize that the outer materials don't make you happy. It's the inner states that make you happy. Not to say that you don't need a halfway decent support system, sure. If you look at West, for example, there is snow out there and life-threatening situations, you've got to have a decent car, a decent house. But something simpler the better, because then you'll get more content easily. The more content you become with what you have, and actually it does not even have anything to do with materials. And that's why if you look at Middle Ages, where people used to become monks, uh-huh. They used to give up things and make a vow of poverty. Uh-huh. The idea was what? So they can say, I'm content right now. So they become receiver of divine grace, so they can make fast spiritual progress. But today's environment, it's not necessary to become a monk. It's not necessary to shave your head off, dress up in different clothes and hang around at the airports. It's not necessary. Mm-hmm. Idea is keep your life simple and get to the state of contentment as early as you can. And your spirituality, especially when you have a deeper personal connection with a great master like Jesus Christ, mm-hmm. Or Yogananda or Buddha, there are many others like that, of that level, then they will pull you up. Mm-hmm. And as your consciousness goes up above this point, which is in chakra system, point number 5, uh-huh. Then you go and experience the divine life for the first time. And then say, oh, this is what Jesus meant. Now I have experienced it. because you cannot intellectualize this.
Uh-huh.
It's like going on a date. You have read all the books from Barnes and Nobles, how to date for dummies, right? You have all the plans, but you have never really dated a person. Then you don't know what it feels like. Or you've seen pictures of a particular recipe or dessert, but never tasted it. Then you can lick the pictures all day. You're not going to get the taste. The same way I say that it's necessary to have the experience. And that experience transforms you. And once your consciousness shifts, everything, it trickles down and affects everything. Everything in your life. You're absolutely right.
Oh, so that's what you were saying earlier about the difference between religion, which is maybe some kind of foundation of whatever you want your belief system to be, but then the real life happens, the dance happens when your spiritual life unfolds.
Yes. The most religions, as generically defined, they are like a boot camp of spirituality, because they train you in the basic education and practices and disciplines that you need. But let us not forget to form a deep personal relationship with the Master, because without that, He's not going to pull you into the realm of the enlightenment or heaven or even to the mastery level. And you keep what you have learned, but you don't stay limited to that. If you want to go beyond that, then you have to rely on the grace that comes through the blessings of masters. And those are frequencies much beyond ultraviolet, alpha, beta, gamma, and cosmic rays. Because there, blessings will come just because somebody can look at you or touch you. Or even if you look at, say, in Catholic faith, they dip the wafer in wine and give it to you, it's a blessing.
Oh, so maybe that ritual came from an
exactly.
actual experience.
It was a grace being transmitted through that wafer.
Wow.
Similarly, in Indian systems, before they have a dinner, they offer the food to God and ask for blessings. And when the food gets blessed, when you eat that food, the blessings go inside of you.
Oh, so sometimes things get ritualized, but there's really this great experience behind them and this.
Right. Very much.
That's exciting. When you described that, I thought made me think of what we opened with about that desire we have for this. This radical shift. Some people are calling it the awakening, an overused term, but we're all desiring that great, unified love, peace, and joy. And really, what we're looking for is raising our consciousness too.
And it can be done very easily. It's not very complicated.
Oh.
And this, in my opinion, is what the new hope for future is. And once we understand and reconcile these things, we all can be hopeful. I think there should be songs written about things like this.
Yes, let the protest song start.
Maybe you should talk to Mr. Dillon and have him come back out of retirement.
Or we'll all become songwriters. This is exciting.
You're a songwriter and singer yourself. So maybe you can write some songs and inspire us and give us hope.
Let the songs come. It's exciting. I feel really excited.
No, I think we should spread this message. Let's all be the mouthpieces of good hope for future.
Yeah, that's perfect. Yeah.
The future looks very bright.
Let's all be.
Like a friend of mine says, life is good, but we are here to make it great.
Thank you for sharing tonight.
Thank you.